Cloud for the last 3 months. And first off, I'd just like to thank everyone for taking the time to join this presentation. We're really glad to have you. We're really glad to be able to answer your questions live today and hear your feedback on some of these new features. I'll be presenting with my good friend Stan, and we're both program managers on the Defender for Cloud Customer Experience Engineering team. To help structure today's presentation on what's new, we're going to shape the discussion into two key parts. As you all know, Defender for Cloud focuses on two key security pillars. The first one includes cloud security posture management, and this is taking a look at hardening your resources and maintaining your security posture of your cloud environment. The second one is cloud workload protection platform. So making sure that your resources are secure in the cloud and defending them from any possible threats. So first we'll start off with what's new in CSPM, and then we'll take a look at what's new in CWPP. And of course, we'll end off the presentation with some Q&A. Now, before we just take a deep dive into everything, I'd first like to give a brief overview of Defender for Cloud for those of you who may be joining for the first time, and to also just level set the conversation. So Defender for Cloud is a security solution focused on protecting your multi-cloud and hybrid environments. So whether you're in Azure, AWS, GCP, or on-prem, we have different features and capabilities to help your resources stay secure. And we do this by focusing on these three key areas here. The first being to continuously assess your resources. So looking at the configurations of your cloud resources, finding any weak spots in those configurations, and also tracking any vulnerabilities as well. And then from there, we help you stay secure by hardening your resources and providing you with different recommendations for how you can improve the security posture of those resources based on security best practices as well as industry standards. And finally, we also help you defend those resources by helping you to detect and resolve any threats to your workloads, and also provide you with alerts when we notice any anomalies in your environment. Now for CSPM, we have a few key noteworthy changes here. And first off, I'd like to mention that we do recognize that 90% of organizations are operating in more than one cloud environment, which is why today I'm very happy to present that we do have native CSPM and threat protection capabilities for GCP and AWS now generally available. And this also includes secure score for AWS and GCP environments as well. And the really cool thing about this is that you can now use Defender for Cloud to view the security posture of your cloud resources, even if they're not in Azure. So you can view the security posture of your AWS and GCP environments all within a single pane of glass. Outside of that, we do have some noteworthy UI changes here. Previously, we had a tab in the portal, which I'll show you momentarily, for secure score. And we've replaced that with the security posture dashboard, which provides you with that overview that I mentioned of the secure score for your AWS and GCP environments. We've also implemented some new filters to help you take a more granular look at those environments. And lastly, we have relocated some of the custom recommendations here just so you can take a better look at them. Previously, they were listed under the secure score section, although they did not have an impact on the secure score. And now you'll be able to find them under all recommendations. And now I'd like to invite you all to join me in the portal as we take a look at some of these changes. And I'd also, before doing this, I also would like to share that we did previously have a webinar on the new multi-cloud capabilities. So if you're looking for a more deep dive into that area, I would recommend taking a look at our previous webinar for multi-cloud and Defender for Cloud. And now I will start the demo here. Right. All right, perfect. So you'll first notice here that I'm in the environment settings page. And this is where essentially you're going to onboard your AWS and GCP projects into Azure. And you'll notice here that once you onboard all of those projects, or excuse me, once you onboard your AWS accounts and GCP projects, you'll be able to see them here along with your Azure subscriptions. For AWS, we offer support at the management level and the account level. And for GCP, we offer support up to the organizational level as well. And you'll notice this tab for add environment, and this is where you would go to add your AWS and GCP environments. And as I mentioned, we did do a webinar to take a deeper look into this. So I won't do a full demo today on multi-cloud capabilities, but I would like to stress some of the features that we've added for GA. So essentially, once you onboard those resources, as I mentioned, you'll see them listed here, and you'll see the coverage as well. So for example, if you click on this project that's already been connected, it starts out with the project details. So this would be how you would onboard, and then from there, you can see the offerings that are available. The security posture management offering this is where you would get all your CSPM capabilities for Defender for Cloud. So that's looking at recommendations, secure score, making sure that you're able to configure those resources to security best practices. And we also have Defender for Servers, which is GA as well. However, Defender for Containers is still in preview for AWS and GCP. But this would be where you would configure everything and enable these plans. And as I mentioned, the security posture management offering is agentless, so you do not need any additional agents to enable the security posture management capabilities. Once you onboard your GCP projects or AWS accounts, Defender for Cloud will take a look at the resources you have in these external cloud and scan them in order to provide these security posture management capabilities. And you'll also notice here, as part of the CSPM offerings, you are able to onboard to different industry standards, which you'll see we have a GCP CIS standard. And in addition to that, we recognize that some of these standards may not have everything that you're looking to monitor in Defender for Cloud. So you'll see here that we do have these custom standards that will allow for more granularity and let you fill in the gaps for any recommendations or anything you think you may be missing within the regulatory compliance area. And now for the recommendations. So as I mentioned before, initially here under cloud security, we did have this tab, which was called Secure Score, and we've changed that to where it's now called Security Posture. And here is where you would look to get an overview of your cloud security posture across these 3 cloud environments. And you'll notice here some really cool filters that we have, both at the top for this secure score view and also within the recommendations view as well. Here for the secure score view, you'll see Azure, AWS, and GCP. And I have all 3 of them selected right now. So what I'm looking at is an overview of the secure score across all 3 of these environments. And then if I decide, hey, I want to focus on secure score for AWS today, I can unselect Azure and then unselect GCP as well. And now I can focus on the secure score for my AWS environment. And you'll see we still have the recommendations with the security controls mapped specifically to your AWS environment. And you'll also notice this tab here, the environment filter. And this is showing you that right now, all the recommendations you're looking at are only for your AWS environment. And I can do the same vice versa. If I want to look at only GCP, for example, I can filter for GCP. One thing that I'd really like to distinguish with this view is that, as I mentioned, when you filter up at the top, you're your secure score view and your recommendation view is going to filter to what's selected here. But let's say I want to view the secure score for GCP, I can leave that as it is. But if I want to change this recommendation view to look at only Azure resources, I can do that and it will still maintain the view for GCP secure score. So now I'm looking at the secure score for GCP while looking at my recommendations for Azure. So that's one thing I'd like to share that we've changed for the UI and to help improve our multi-cloud experience. Another thing that I mentioned was that we relocated the custom recommendations from the secure score recommendations view to the all recommendations view. So previously, you may have noticed that there was a security control that showed you all the custom recommendations that you had within your environment. We've changed that to where if you now go to all recommendations, you're able to view the custom recommendations there. So you'll notice with my filters, I have this filter called recommendation type. And right now I've selected it so that it's only showing me the custom recommendations. And here you can see I've also filtered for GCP. So now it's showing me only the custom recommendations for GCP. And I can change that to show custom recommendations for all environments as well. Now that's what I'd like to share today for the key changes in the last 3 months for Defender for Cloud. And as I mentioned before, if you'd like to take a closer look into our new multi-cloud capabilities, I'd really encourage you to take a visit to the webinar we had previously on multi-cloud. With that being said, I'd like to pass the virtual baton over to my good friend Stan to go over the CWPP capabilities.
Thank you, Future. Give me a sign when you can see my screen.
Yep, looks good.
All right, cool. Hello, everybody. So nice to have you back. So Future just covered what we delivered when it comes to improving the overall multi-cloud and hybrid posture management. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the some news we have in threat detection space, which is also part of the Defender for Cloud capabilities. So here's my agenda for today. So we're going to spend a little bit of time of discussing new workbooks we created to provide you more tools for more rich reporting, because that's something we are hearing from the customers a lot. So and not all the customers are familiar with the CUSTA-CUI language and not comfortable with working with Azure Resource Graph where this data can be pulled from. So we did all this heavy lifting for you and added a couple of new workbooks to provide you these reporting capabilities. And I'm going to show you all this in the portal. So another thing which we recently added for the threat detection capability is ability to scan Windows images in Azure Container Registries. Unfortunately, I don't have any Windows image in my environment. I will not be able to demo that. But in a nutshell, all the customers would have Defender for Containers plan enabled. Now can scan their Windows images on push and pull from and to Azure Container Registry. So we use Qualys for that. So we partner with Qualys for this particular vulnerability assessment. We're going to talk a little bit about this new Defender for Server plan, which we also added just a couple of weeks ago. And also another thing I'm going to highlight is the new Defender for Cosmos DB plan, which adds some exploit detection, threat detection capabilities, like things like SQL injection, knowing bad actors, behaviors based on our Microsoft Threat Intelligence specifically for Cosmos DBs. And also we have a couple of just tiny UI changes in the user interface, and I'll show you that as well. And with that, and without spending too much time looking at these slides, let's take a look what it looks like. So as you probably know, Azure Workbooks is a Azure service that we provide for querying, correlating, and reporting on different sets of data. And Azure Workbooks can work with Azure Resource Graph, local analytic workspaces, and some other data sources. And so we also have some integration between this service and Defender for Cloud. If you go to the workbooks, for instance, in your environment, you will be able to see the gallery. So these purple ones, this is the built-in workbooks created by us, by Microsoft, and they're available for all our Defender for Cloud customers. So free of charge, so they're all kind of available for you for getting different kind of visibility, get different kind of reporting. So there are also community efforts, and so we have a GitHub repository where all you guys can also help us create different artifacts, including workbooks, and share them with the community, with other customers, with other users. I will ask my team maybe share the link into the chat so we can, you can just, if you're not familiar with this GitHub, so we can go ahead and check it out. We have a lot of different useful and helpful artifacts you can find there, including some workbooks. And like I said, it's just an Azure service. You can create your own workbook and based on your specific needs. But for this particular conversation, I'm gonna spend some time talking about the new workbooks we created based on your request, our customers' feedback. And one is I really want to highlight. So this is I must say it's a huge accomplishment. I want to just give a huge kudos to Future, who has been leading this effort from our side. So this is the price estimation workbook, which is I personally find very useful in my conversation with my customers, because fear of unknown is one of the main blockers that's hold our customers back from enabling different Defender bundle, Defender types. Because although we do provide some retail price on how much it's going to cost per type of resource, it's difficult to predict your what's going to cost you like in the end of the month. And that's kind of has been a little bit concern for many customers. That's why we created this workbook that can help you. It's not 100% accurate, but it can you just give an understanding, like the multitude of potential costs that can lead into. So, and we aggregated all these different Defender price estimation workbooks into a single one, and now it's available for all the customers. So first of all, you can see actually the coverage across all the subscriptions your account currently has access to, and see which Defender plans you get enabled, whether it's apps, Defender for app services, Defender for DNS, and so on and so forth, across all the subscription. I think this is very handy. So you can, instead of just clicking between environment settings, and so you can see all this configuration in one place. Then you can just go to different resource types and different Defender bundles and see how much it's, if you've enabled Defender for this particular resource type, what's the potential cost it would have been, right? So based on, so we estimate this cost based on some historical usage of those resource types. Like for instance, in this case, for app services, I have several web applications, and so based on the usage telemetry, I can, and the and price tag, I can roughly estimate what it might cost me if I enabled the Defender for app services in this case. So one of the most controversial, I would say, Defender plans, again, based on our customers' feedback, has been Defender for storage. And that's one of the most, I would say, fears in Defender for servers, or the Defender for cloud bundles. So and actually, I can share my experience working with my customers. This helped us a lot with these conversations, with moving forward, with enabling this protection, because just by showing the customers what this can lead to, at least the rough estimate of the potential cost of this Defender protection, it unlocks a lot of questions and conversations. So if you haven't yet, please go ahead and check this workbook out. So and as always, we would like to hear your feedback. So the next workbook I want to show you is the Defender coverage. So there is some overlap between these two, but this one is actually gives us more information about the Defender for different resource enablement. But it also adds some AWS and GCP visibility, because like Future mentioned, currently we provide threat detection in addition to CSPM, also threat detection capabilities for workloads running in those clouds, and including Defender for Service and Defender for Containers. And this dashboard shows us which AWS accounts are currently, or AWS resources are currently protected and not protected by Defender for Servers and Defender for Containers. For instance, if you have any EC2 instances in some of the AWS accounts, you probably want to also have them protected by Defender for Servers. And we have the same visibility for Google Cloud as well. So also, I think that's a great visibility. Some aggregated data you can use for at least getting visibility and making some decisions on enabling certain protections. So the next workbook I want to show you is ransomware dashboard. So it's an interesting one, I must say. So it's specifically with this, we are looking for this, probably most popular and most publicized attack vector we are seeing, more and more these days, which is ransomware. And what we're doing here with this workbook, we're showing you, based on the MITRE framework, and so which, resources in your environment are currently potentially vulnerable for possible ransomware attacks. Resources that can be, encrypted and so on and so forth. And so we kind of show you this visibility based on the tactics and techniques provided by MITRE attack framework. All right, so the next one is the policy distribution dashboard. So this one is not actually one of the built-in workbooks. So this is currently, for today, it's provided as a community workbooks, meaning that you would need to go to our GitHub repository and install this workbook. And when you've done that, so what you'll be able to see is, but first let me step back a little bit. So as you probably know, a lot of capabilities that Defender for Cloud provides based on Azure policies. For instance, to be able to provide you certain recommendations or detect some misconfiguration and provide you recommendations how to improve your cloud environment. So we heavily use Azure policies for that. So I'm assuming that most of the audience is familiar with Azure policies, but that's kind of how we audit, and also we can enforce certain configurations in Azure environment. So, and with these dashboards, we provide you this aggregated visibility on which Azure policies you have currently, or policy initiatives in this case, assigned to what subscription. So again, based on your account's permissions, you can see different subscriptions, and you can see different policies linked to those, and actually you can make a decision why certain configuration and where the certain configuration is coming from which policy. As you probably know, one of the capabilities provided by Azure policies, and that we also use in Defender for Cloud, is ability to exempt certain recommendations for certain resources. You can, of course, see those exemptions in the Azure policy dashboard. So, but we also added this capability in this workbook, so they can also see these exemptions all in one place, which I think it's very, very helpful and convenient. So, like for instance, if I have any, let's say, virtual machines or storage accounts exempted from certain recommendations for some reason, whether it's, I know, like because I have some, mitigation and additional mitigation, it just has been waived or something like that. So all in one place. If you use custom policies, you can also see those custom policies here on a separate tab. We also added some regulatory compliance assessment states. So based on what recommendations standards you have currently enabled in your environment, you'll be able to also find them here. So yeah, in short, something to review, maybe see if there is any value for your organization. And as always, so we're open for any positive or negative feedback where we can improve or add some additional visibility for your convenience. So the next thing I wanted to show you today is, like I mentioned already, we have the new Cosmos DB, Defender for Cosmos DB plan. And what we did recently, I don't know if you've seen that already. So if you remember previously, we used to have Defender for SQL, Defender for SQL on machines, Defender for open source DB, different Defender plans. So what we recently did, we aggregated them into a separate bundle, which is now Defender for databases. And we also added the Defender for Cosmos DB to this bundle. So as the new kind of resource type, we currently provide threat detection capabilities for. So it's now it's also part of the UI changes I wanted to highlight. So now you have this separate window where we can decide which database types you want to protect with our Defender. Another new capability we added recently was the new Defender for Server plan. So now our customers, so until recently, there was only one option. So there was just Defender for Servers that included all these capabilities that you can see here marked with green. So what we added recently, we added this new P1 plan, which only currently includes the integration with Defender for Endpoint. It doesn't include some additional security capabilities like just-in-time administration, file integrity monitoring, and so forth, and so on and so forth. But only includes MDE. So whether it's good or bad, it's up to you to decide. So this is a very specific use case for this. So if you're only interested in getting anti-malware and EDR capabilities for your servers and not interested in additional security value provided by Plan 2, then that's the way to go. And the last thing for today I wanted to highlight is just in a small, tiny UI change, but I think it's helpful. So as part of the alert experience, under the take action, so what we added this new item here, configure email notification. So for the alert, right from the alert, now you can see who will get who will be notified for this particular alert. So if the Defender for Cloud detects certain malicious activity, who will be notified by Defender for Cloud. So you can just click here and it will take you to this old email notification configuration page, and you'll be able to see that for this particular alert, the owners are going to be notified, and also you can add some specific email addresses or or DLs, like for instance your SOC or certain specific team, and also see based on what criteria on this alert severity, this notification will be kicked off. And with that, I believe that's all we had for today. So now we can take any questions from the audience. As always, thank you for your time. So that this quarter has been a little bit easier for us. So and we are looking forward to seeing you all. I believe in July, right, Figusha?
Yeah, in July we'll be back.
Hopefully we will get more interesting stuff by then. So we'll be having additional, I believe, RSA roundup after RSA somewhere, I believe, after June. But I will definitely highlight all the RSA announcements, if there are any, in our next What's New webinar in July. So with that, Ashley, do we have anything from the audience? Which the team has?
We have a couple questions here. The first one, can you only use this SKU, or does a customer still have to have an M365 endpoint license plus this?
Yuchi, you want to take these?
No, I think you're the Defender for Servers expert.
All right, so the answer is no. So if you have Defender for Servers plan enabled, it's the Defender for Endpoint cost is included. But they also just keep in mind so that it's better to use Defender for Servers because Defender for Servers is consumption based, whereas if you purchase the MD license separate, it's a solid cost, right? It's like $5. I'm just saying the number, $5 per server per month. Whereas in case of Defender for Servers, it's a consumption based. The price is going to be the same if the server is running like around the clock, like 24/7, right? But if, for instance, you have some, I don't know, workloads which you're turn off, turn on, like a dev test environment, or you have some application with you, which is running maybe on certain schedule, you can save a lot. Because, like I said, so in case of Defender for Server, we charge per hour of compute usage.
Okay, and the next question is, what is the difference between Plan 1 and Plan 2 when importing events to Sentinel?
Technically, there is none. But the only difference is that if you use P1 plan, you will only get the alert generated by MDE. You won't get any additional threat detections generated by other components included in P2 plan, like just-in-time administration, file integrity monitoring. But from the technology perspective, the process is the same. There is no difference. It's just the scope or amount of detections that are included in those plans, and that we're going to be sending over to your SIEM.
Okay, and the next question is, how do I remove a machine after offboarding it from Defender?
So, yeah, so good question. So Defender for Cloud does provide automatic onboarding to Defender for Endpoint, but unfortunately, currently we don't have any automatic onboarding, meaning that, so if you onboarded the machine from Defender for Cloud, you will have to go ahead and also offboard it from MDE using the the process documented and provided by Defender for Endpoint. So there's a script you would need to execute it to remove the MDE configuration from the machine. But we don't have currently any automated way of onboarding from Defender for Cloud or by Defender for Cloud.
Okay, thank you. And the next question is, What's the best way to get endpoint DLP logs from Defender into Sentinel? We've been trying to get it set up based on an MS GitHub repo for it, but running into issues actually getting the logs pulled into Sentinel.
Endpoint DLP. So unfortunately, this is kind of unrelated to this conversation. The endpoint DLP is totally different piece of software, which is not really in our side of the house.
Okay.
So if you're having any technical difficulties, my advice is to open the support ticket, and our support people will help you out.
Okay. And can you show us the location of the CVE information that are coming from the MD MDE are located?
Yes. Let's see. So unfortunately, okay, I think I can show you that, but since this is our corporate tenant, I don't have permissions to access the M365 security portal, but I'll show you as much as I can. So when it comes to vulnerability assessments results in Defender for Cloud, so when you see the IDs here, which are only numerical, this is the Qualys assessment result. So TVM uses slightly different naming convention, which is alphanumerical. And I just need to find the machine in this environment which is on board. This one, for instance. See this one. So this is an indication that the machine is, onboarded to MDE, and this vulnerability is reported by TVM. So when you see all the numbers, this is Qualys. See, this is the Qualys vulnerability assessment. So if you see the alphanumerical, that's us. That's TVM. And so that's the actually how we display this the CVE information here in Defender for Cloud. But if you need more details, if you more information on this particular CVE, or which other machines are potentially vulnerable to the same vulnerability, you would need to click this link, and it will take you to the Microsoft 365 security portal, to the TVM, let's say, portal, and where you can get more information. Hopefully I answered this question.
And the next question, is there automation to isolate containers in a private AKs by using either network policies or OSM?
That's I'm not quite sure. I think we would need to take it back and review this question with the container security team, and maybe provide the answer later on, using some other channels. Yeah, future, can you take a note of this one?
Yeah, that's a great question to follow up on. I agree.
Okay, let me see. Let's see if we have one more here. Oh. How do I check Defender for Endpoint is enabled and active for all VMs in Azure Virtual Machine section?
Excellent question. So there is no easy way, unfortunately. We're working on actually providing this visibility. So there are a couple of workarounds I can think of. So one of the workarounds would be using the vulnerability assessment information, actually. So if you see vulnerability assessment provided by TVM, this means that the machine has been onboarded to MDE, right? So another workaround would be to use the software inventory. If you go to the virtual machines page, right, resource health page for any virtual machine, you will see this installed application tab. This information is populated. I don't see this in my case. So this information is populated by TVM, and TVM is part of MDE, obviously, right? So if you see the the information's listed here, like for instance, Windows operating system version, some other application you might have installed on this machine. This is a good indication that you have so that this machine is onboarded to MDE, and actually integration between Defender for Cloud and Defender for Endpoint is working properly. Okay, but yeah, that's a good question. So that we're working on exposing this kind of visibility. I don't have any time frame to share or how it's going to be look like, but maybe we'll create a workbook or something like that. But it's a good question. Thank you for your feedback.
Okay, it looks like we just have a few more here. Which server OS versions are supported in Defender for Server?
All supported Windows operating systems, I would say. Well, server SKUs started in 2012.
Okay, I think we have all of the questions answered. So I just wanted to remind everyone that the next Microsoft Defender for Cloud webinar will be on May 17th, and it will be on how to deploy Microsoft Defender for Cloud at scale. You can register for that webinar at aka.ms/securitycommunity. And I would like to thank Stanislav and Future for being our guest today and for an excellent presentation. And thank you to the rest of the team who helped answer all of the questions. At the same time, I would like to remind listeners that the best way to ensure you don't miss any future webinars or major announcements is to visit our landing page at aka.ms/securitycommunity. And while there, you'll find easy ways to navigate and find the resources and learning content relevant to our security products and their communities. A good start would be browsing our bite-sized product videos, ninja trainings, recordings of past webinars, GitHub communities, and more. We'd love to hear your feedback on how we can improve these webinars. Please take a minute submitting your webinar feedback at aka.ms/security-webinar-feedback. Thank you, and see you next time. Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.